Hello there, my name is Steve, and I'm a Rickaholic. Welcome to the worst episode of Rickenbacker Anonymous, the first and only YouTube show devoted to the finest guitars and basses ever made, probably in the USA, Rickenbackers, and to the players and collectors who love them. Now, those of you with sharp ears might have noticed that I said this was the worst episode. It wasn't a mistake. Hopefully it was the worst, because it's the first. Having spoken to lots of other YouTubers, they all agree the earliest episodes were indeed their worst. Most of them cringe just having to go back and think about those early episodes. Let's hope that's true, and we have only one way to go from here, which is up. So what is the purpose of this show? Well, I envision this as being the place for Rickenbacker enthusiasts to come, learn a bit, share their knowledge, and share an overall appreciation of these fine musical instruments. Among the many things I hope to cover are the history of the Rickenbacker company, the notable players who have made these guitars famous throughout the years, take an in-depth look at the individual models featuring their specs, various quirks, and changes from era to era, of which there have been many. I want to be able to help you ID and date your Rickenbackers, or those that you're considering. Also want to show you how to spot fakes, ways to authenticate various models throughout the years. I hope to be able to give some in-depth setup tips, in some cases step by step, showing you exactly how to set these guitars up to play their best. They can be quirky at the best of times, and often require special care that other guitars might not need. I want to help you get the best out of your Rickenbacker guitar bass. In some episodes, I'll feature unboxing videos, showing you new things that I've bought so we can feature on the show. In many cases, assuming they don't wind up in my permanent collection, these guitars will then be listed on my reverb.com site for you to purchase, having already had an in-depth overview of each instrument. So what else will I be talking about? Well, to be honest, that'll be entirely up to you, the viewer. I'm going to be closely monitoring the comments as you make them, so that I can see exactly what you'd like to see in future episodes. So, the future of this show is literally in your hands. So you should have a pretty good idea of who this show is for. But a question that could be asked is, who is this show not for? Well, the truth of the matter is, as much as I'd like to say this is for all Rickenbacker enthusiasts, all are welcome, there is a small but very vocal contingent in the collector community specifically who seem to view Rickenbacker guitars as some sort of holy relics, fine art pieces, not meant to be touched or even looked at too closely, handled only with kid gloves. I'm not one of those people. I believe that all guitars, including Rickenbackers, maybe especially Rickenbackers, are intended to be played. And play them I will. When I give you a review of a guitar, you can be sure that I've played it at length, most likely in a live situation at some point. Almost every one of these guitars behind me has been played live at some time or other by me. The ones that haven't will be. So if you're into case queens and wall hangers, this may not be the place you want to go. These guitars get played as they should be. Now, who am I? Well, my name is Steve. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, USA. I'm a singer and rhythm guitar player in an 80s retro alternative band called Ray Gun that gigs regularly here in Nashville. I'm also the lead guitar player in a retro 60s group called the Jonathan Pushkar Band. In both of these bands, I like to feature my Rickenbackers, the fine guitars and they definitely work for both of my projects. So if I give you a review of a guitar, it's been played live. And I can tell you exactly my personal impressions of each. Now, what do I know about guitars? Well, in the last 35 years, I've owned over 500 of them. No, literally. At one point in time, my collection was well over 100. But eventually I came to my senses, more or less. There was a point back in the 90s when I had a lovely collection of vintage Rickenbackers. Here's a photo. Sadly, all the guitars in that picture are now gone, sold when times got tough. As it stands now, the only genuinely vintage Rickenbacker I have is this particular Model 1000 from 1959. Although I guess you could make a strong argument that my 1975 Model 430 back there is also vintage. I guess it depends on who you ask. So what sort of things would you like to see featured on this show? Would you like to see the differences between, let's say, 21 fret and 24 fret neck guitars? Would you like a comparison of toaster top pickups versus high gains? Perhaps even versus Rickenbacker humbuckers? It's up to you. Would you like to see the differences in headstock shapes and sizes throughout the years? Pretty much anything you can come up with, I should be able to cover. With a caveat, at least initially, I'm going to have to keep the guitars I review at a reasonable level, which is to say, I can't really afford Model 4005 basses, Capri Series guitars from the 1950s, double necks, or signature models, at least at this time. But with any luck, and with your help, eventually that could all change. Maybe I'll get to a point where I can review virtually anything Rickenbacker ever made, up to and including light show models. Hey, I'm up for it if you're up for it. So what are my goals for this web show? That's a good question. I'd like to get to a point where I'm considered one of the authoritative sources to come and get information on Rickenbackers. I'm still learning myself. I certainly don't know everything, but then again, wouldn't life be boring if I did? Wouldn't life be boring if you did? I think we should always be learning and always be playing. That's a different story. Eventually, I'd like to see this channel become very popular and have some guests, possibly feature unboxings of brand new Rickenbackers for review. Hey, I'm open to any ideas whatsoever. Anything you can come up with, I'm on board. I just know I love these instruments, and I can never get enough of them. I imagine there are a lot of you out there that feel exactly the same way. So I don't have a heck of a lot more to say in this episode. Rest assured though, future episodes will actually have a bit of meat on the bones. This is just an introduction. To that end, as you've heard from countless other YouTubers in the past, by all means, click on the subscribe notice, ring the bell. It's the only way you're going to get a notification when my next episode comes out. At this point in time, I'm shooting for one new episode a week. My next episode, I hope to feature various models of the 300 series and to be able to show the differences between, say, a 330 and a 340, or a 345. I also want to clear up some of the confusion about what is and what isn't a Model 360, because there isn't just one 360, as I'm sure some of you know, but some of you have yet to figure out. So as I said, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and by all means, leave your comments below so that I can know what you'd like to see in future episodes. This show's for all of us who are into these guitars and basses. I want to know what you want to see, what you're interested in, what you'd like to hear. Got an array of amps back here Eventually the audio is going to get to the point where you can really hear well, at least in theory. So again, this is Steve, the Rickaholic. I'll be seeing more of you in the future. Or should I say, you'll be seeing me. You get the idea. Until next time, chime on.